Question 1. Given the circumstances, Maria is managing a multi-tenant container database (CDB) with several pluggable database PDBs. She needs to migrate one PDB from the current CDB to another PDB without downtime to the other PDBs. What is the best approach for Maria to achieve this migration while minimizing impact? A. Use data pump export import to move the PDB data and recreate users manually. B. Unplug the PDB, copy the metadata and data files and plug it into the target CDB. C. URMan backup and restore to move the PB between CBS. D. Perform a full database export import of the entire CDE and any drop uneeds. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. The recommended method to migrate EETEBS is to unplug the PDE, which creates an XML metadata file describing the PDB configuration, then physically copy the data files, and finally plug the PDB into the tar TDB. This method minimizes downtime and avoids the need to recreate users or data manually. Data pump export import at the PDB level is efficient and requires more manual steps, and Oracle9i does not directly support PDB migrations across CEs. A full CDB export import is excessive and impacts on EEBS unnecessarily. Question 2. In the context of Oracle 12-bit backup strategies, John is responsible for ensuring recoverability of a multi-tenant environment. He wants to configure Oracle9i to automatically manage backups of both the container database and its pluggable databases with minimal manual intervention. With Oracle9i feature should John leverage A. Oracle9i to backup only the CDB root and export each PDB separately. B. Configure Oracle9i to perform incremental backups only on the PDBs. C. Oracle9i's new multi-tenant aware backup capabilities to backup the entire CDB including all PDBs. D. Schedule Oracle9i backups individually for each PDB using separate scripts. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Oracle 12 Oracle9i does not back up all PDBs automatically with a single command. Instead, backups must be scheduled individually for each PDB or the entire CDB. While Oracle9i supports backing up the CDB and the PDBs, it requires explicit commands or scripting for PDB. Automatic multi-tenant-wide backup orchestration is not inherently available, so John must manage Oracle9i backups for each pluggable database separately to ensure comprehensive coverage without manual intervention for each backup. Question 3. Based on the information about user management in a multi-tenant environment, Sarah needs to create a user who can administer all PDBs within a DE or should not have access to the root container. What type of user should Sarah create? A. A common user with the connect role. B. A local user in each PDB with DBA privileges. C. A common user with the VA role but no access PDBs. D. A common user with administrative privileges granted only to PDBs but denied on the root. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Common users are created in the root and have access across all containers, including PDBs, but a common user with the EA role typically has privileges on the root container. To administer all PDBs but not the root, Sarah would ideally create common users with roles scoped to PDBs, but Oracle currently does not allow common users to be restricted only to PDBs without privileges. Local users exist only within PDBs and do not span containers. Therefore, the most accurate approach is a common user with administrative privileges across PDBs, but careful privilege management is needed since access to the root is generally included. Question 4. Considering the evidence on performance tuning in Oracle 12-ec, Michael observes that a query execution plan changes dynamically at runtime based on bind variable values. Which feature is most likely responsible for this adaptive behavior? A. SUL plan baselines. B. Adaptive execution plans. C. SUL profiles. D. Dynamic sampling. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Adaptive execution plans allow Oracle 12-ec to alter execution plans at runtime based on actual bind variable values or row counts, optimizing performance dynamically. SUL plan baselines are static and ensure plan stability but don't adapt at runtime. SUL profiles provide optimizer hints to improve plans, but are fixed once created. Dynamic sampling gathers statistics on the fly, but does not change execution plans dynamically during execution. It's used prior to plan generation. Therefore, adaptive execution plans are the core feature enabling this dynamic adjustment. Question 5. Through the lens of database security, Emily is tasked with masking sensitive data like credit card numbers from unauthorized users without changing the underlying data. What Oracle 12 feature should she implement? A. Oracle data redaction. B. Oracle label security. C. Transparent data encryption. D. Fine-grained auditing. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Oracle data redaction allows real-time masking of sensitive data in query results without modifying the stored data, effectively hiding it from unauthorized users. Oracle label security controls access based on labels and classifications, but it does not mask data. Transparent data encryption encrypts data at rest but does not redact or mask it when queried. Fine-grained auditing monitors access but does not prevent exposure of sensitive data. Therefore, data redaction is the appropriate feature for this requirement. Question 6. When considering PDB lifecycle management, Raj wants to create a clone of E for testing purposes but must ensure the clone uses minimal storage space initially. Which cloning method should Raj use? A. Full clone with data file duplication. B. Snapshot clone that shares data with the source PDB. C. Arman restore of the source PDB under a new name. D. Data pump export import of the source EE. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. A snapshot clone provides a fast, space-efficient clone by sharing read-only data files with the source and storing only changes, but it is only available in Enterprise Edition with the right licenses and has limitations on usage. A full clone duplicates all data files, consuming more storage. Arman restore is not typically used for PDB cloning. Data pump export import, although slower, creates an independent clone using minimal initial storage as it copies only the exported data. Hence, data pump is preferred when minimal storage and independence are key. Question 7. From a practical standpoint, Olivia wants to upgrade an Oracle 10 grams database to 12 and minimize downtime. She is considering using the database upgrade assistant DUA. What key factor must she ensure before using DUA? A. The database must be running in archive-log mode. B. The source database character set must be LUTF-8. C. The database must have at least one PDB configured. D. Arman backups must be disabled during the upgrade. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Running the database in archive-log mode before upgrade is critical to enable recovery options in case of failure and to minimize downtime through incremental backups and point-in-time recovery. DUA supports this mode and relies on it for upgrade safety. Character set LUTF-8 is not mandatory and PDB configuration is irrelevant for upgrades from 10 grams, which predates multi-tenancy. Backups must not be disabled. They provide recovery safeguards. Hence, archive-log mode is essential. Question 8. Under the assumption that a EA needs to diagnose a data failure in an Oracle 12 multi-tenant environment, which tools should they primarily use to automate diagnosis and provide recommended repair scripts? A. Automatic Diagnostic Repository Adder Command Interpreter. B. Data Recovery Advisor Draw. C. SQL Tuning Advisor. D. Oracle Enterprise Manager Cloud Control. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. The Data Recovery Advisor (DRA) automates diagnosing data failures and suggests repair actions with scripts tailored for multi-tenant databases. The Adder Command Interpreter aids in browsing diagnostic logs but does not automate repairs. SQL Tuning Advisor focuses on query optimization, not data recovery. Oracle Enterprise Manager offers a broad interface, but the DRA is the specialized tool for data failure diagnosis and automated repair recommendation. Question 9. In the context of resource management, Liam wants to ensure that during peak load times, critical application sessions get prioritized CPU resources over less critical ones in Oracle 12. Which feature should Liam configure? A. Database Resource Manager with consumer groups and plans. B. Automatic Workload Repository Hour Report. C. Real-time Adder E. SUL Plan Baselines. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Database Resource Manager (OCA) is the feature designed to allocate CPU and other resources based on consumer groups and workload plans, directly prioritizing critical sessions. OCA provides performance reports but does not control resource allocation, real-time and diagnoses issues but does not manage resource. SUL plan baselines manage SUL execution plans, not resource distribution. Therefore, configuring the OCA is the correct approach. Question 10. Taking into account the enhancements in Oracle 12ec, Hannah wants to implement encryption for backups handled by Arman to secure data at rest without performance degradation. Which option should she enable? A. Tablespace encryption using transparent data encryption (EDEE). Arman encryption using the master encryption key and fast encryption algorithm. C. Data pump encryption for exported backups. D. Oracle label security for encrypting backup data. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Arman encryption, integrated with Oracle 12ec's master encryption key and advanced algorithms, secures backup data without significantly impacting performance. Tablespace encryption protects data at rest but does not secure backups specifically. Data pump encryption protects exports, not Arman backups. Oracle label security controls access labels but does not encrypt backups, thus enabling Arman encryption with the master key is the appropriate solution. Question 11. When evaluating the merits of Arman backup configuration for a DE at multi-PBS, David notices frequent failures in backing PBS individually during peak usage. What best practice should David apply to optimize Arman's backups for multi-tenant environments? A. Schedule Arman backups of PBS during off-peak hours to reduce contention. B. Configure Arman to back up only the root container, CD root, and exclude PBS. C. Use incremental backups on PBS combined with full backups of the root container. D. For Arman backups only on individual PBS and never the entire CE. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Incremental backups are PBS reduce backup time and resource consumption by capturing only changes since the last backup, improving efficiency in multi-tenant environments. Full backups of the root container ensure system metadata and common objects are safely backed up. Scheduling backups during off-peak times helps but doesn't solve inherent inefficiencies. Backing up only the root container ignores PD data, risking data loss. Performing backups only on PBS ignores important root level data and configuration, so a hybrid strategy is best. Question 12. According to recent studies, Allison needs to enforce fine-grained access control to a specific column in a table within a EE comply with privacy laws. Which feature should she implement for precise column-level control within the multi-tenant architecture? A. Oracle data redaction policies applied at the CDB root level. B. Virtual private database (PPD) policies scoped to the local PDB. C. Common users with restrictive roles created in the root container. D. Transparent data encryption at the tablespace level. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Virtual private database (PPD) policies allow defining fine-grained access control at the row or column level and can be applied locally within each PDB, making them suitable for enforcing privacy within specific pluggable databases. Data redaction is more for masking data rather than access control. Common users manage access broadly, but they do not enforce fine-grained controls. Data encryption secures data at rest but does not control access or visibility to data at the column level. Question 13. In an effort to upgrade their Oracle 10 grams database to 12ec, Mark decides to use the pre-upgrade information tool but encounters warnings about incompatible parameters. What is the most appropriate next step to ensure a smooth upgrade? A. Ignore warnings as they do not affect the upgrade process. B. Adjust or disable incompatible parameters before starting the upgrade. C. Run the upgrade anyway and fix errors after completion. D. Manually reconfigure the database character set to AL UTF-8 before upgrade. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Incompatible parameters can cause upgrade failures. Addressing them before upgrade is crucial, while adjusting or disabling parameters is important. Changing the character set to UTF-8 is a common prerequisite because earlier character sets may be unsupported or cause issues post-upgrade. Ignoring warnings risks failed upgrades, and fixing errors only after upgrade can be complicated. Thus, preemptive set configuration is essential for smooth upgrading. Question 14. From a historical standpoint, Olivia has noticed a drop in performance after migrating an application to a 12 CDE environment. The SQL execution plans differ between the root and puggable databases. What could explain this behavior? A. Adaptive execution plans behave differently in SID PEBS versus the root. B. Each PDB maintains its own optimizer statistics separate from the root container. C. SQL plan baselines cannot be used in a multi-tenant environment. D. The resource manager disables query optimization in PEBS by default. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. SQL plan baselines help stabilize plans but are tied to a single container and do not transfer across PDBS than the root, meaning plans must be managed separately per container. Adaptive execution plans behave consistently across containers. Optimizer statistics are maintained separately per PDB and the root, but this doesn't fully explain plan changes unless statistics are stale. The resource manager controls resource allocation but doesn't disable optimization, hence plan baseline limitations in multi-tenant setups explain the observed differences. Question 15. Under the assumption that a DE needs to automate job execution across multi-PBS, Isabella plans to use Oracle Scheduler in 12ec. What is the best approach to achieve centralized job management across PDBS? A. Create and manage jobs only within each PDB individually. B. Use the CDB level scheduler to define jobs that can target all PBS. C. Export jobs from each PDB and import them into the root container. D. Use data pump to move scheduler jobs between PEs. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Oracle Scheduler jobs at local to containers and centralized job management across multi-PBS is limited. While you can export and import jobs using data pump to replicate them across containers, the root container scheduler cannot directly manage jobs inside PBS. Creating jobs individually in each PDB is common, but manual export-import through data pump offers a practical way to replicate and automate scheduler jobs, but does not offer true centralized control. Question 16. Considering the evidence on encryption and key management, Jason wants to rotate the master encryption key mech used for transparent data encryption TDE without re-encrypting all data. What is the safest and most efficient method? A. Disable TDE, decrypt all data, generate a new mech, and re-enable TDE. B. Use the Oracle command to rekey the wallet with the new mech. C. Export the encrypted table spaces and re-import them using a new mech. D. Manually edit the wallet file to change the mech. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. The correct method to rotate the master encryption key without re-encrypting all data is to use Oracle's rekey operation, which changes the mech stored in the wallet without decrypting and re-encrypting data files, exporting and re-importing data with. A new mech is inefficient and error-prone. Disabling TDE to decrypt data is risky and time-consuming. Manual editing of wallet files is unsupported and dangerous. Therefore, using Oracle's rekey command is safe and efficient. Question 17. As illustrated by a recent audit, Peter needs to reduce excessive user privileges in the database. Which Oracle 12ec feature will help him monitor and analyze privilege usage to identify overprivileged accounts? A. Privilege analysis. B. Unified auditing. C. Fine-grained auditing. D. Oracle label security. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Privilege analysis provides detailed reports on which user privileges are actually used, enabling DBAS to identify and revoke unnecessary or excessive privileges, thus enhancing security. Unified auditing focuses on capturing audit records but does not analyze privilege usage. Fine-grained auditing tracks access to specific data but does not focus on privilege analysis. Oracle label security enforces access control based on labels but does not help in privilege usage auditing. Question 18. In light of recent developments, Sophia is tasked with performing an online index rebuild to minimize downtime during maintenance. Which statement best describes how Oracle 12ec achieves this? A. The index rebuild locks the table exclusively until complete. B. Oracle creates a new index copy online and swaps it with the old one with minimal locking. C. Index rebuilds are only supported offline in 12ec. D. Oracle disables EML orations on the table during the rebuild. Answer. Correct answer, D. Explanation. Oracle 12ec Online Index Rebuild allows DML orations to continue on the table with minimal locking. It creates a new index segment in the background and synchronizes changes during the rebuild, avoiding exclusive locks. Exclusive locking or disabling DML during rebuild would cause significant downtime, which online rebuilds specifically avoid. Offline rebuilds require locking but are less flexible, hence minimal locking and ongoing DML support define online rebuilds. Question 19. To better understand Oracle 12ec multi-tenant storage, Ethan needs to move a data file from one ASM disk group to another without downtime. Which Oracle feature should Ethan use? A. Online data file move using RMAN. B. ASM rebalance operation with data file relocation. C. Transportable table spaces. D. Data pump export import of table spaces. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. Oracle 12ec supports online data file moves, allowing relocation of data files across ASM disk groups without taking the database offline, minimizing downtime and maintaining availability. ASM rebalance redistributes ASM files but does not move individual data files between disk groups at the database level. Transportable table spaces move logical data but require downtime. Data pump export import is offline and slower. Therefore, online data file move is the preferred feature. Question 20. The primary reason for Luke to use the automatic diagnostic repository add command interpreter at site is to A. Manage RMAN backup and restore operations interactively. B. Analyze diagnostic data, manage incidents, and streamline problem resolution. C. Automate schema migration to PBS. D. Monitor SUL tuning recommendations in real time. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. Adasize, a command line tool to manage Oracle diagnostic data stored in the automatic diagnostic repository, helping DBAS analyze incidents, problems, and trace files to streamline troubleshooting. RMAN backup is handled separately. Schema migration is not an adder function, and SUL tuning is managed by tuning advisors. Therefore, Adasize's primary role is managing diagnostic and incident data for problem resolution. Question 21. While examining the process of unplugging, IEAs wants to ensure that the unplug operation will succeed without errors related to open transactions or active sessions. What is the best practice James should follow before unplugging? i.e., immediately close the PDB with the immediate cause and unplug. B. Quest the PDB to prevent new transactions and wait for active transactions to complete. C. Shut down the INEAR C2B before unplugging PDB. D. Disconnect all users forcibly by restarting the listener service. Answer. Correct answer, D. Explanation. Before unplugging, E is essential to disconnect all active sessions to avoid conflicts. Restarting the listener forces disconnection, ensuring no open transactions block unplug operations. Simply closing with immediate may leave transactions uncommitted. Questing suspends new transactions but might not clear all active sessions promptly. Shutting down the entire CDB is unnecessary and overly disruptive, hence for disconnecting users ensures smooth unplugging. Question 22. From a practical standpoint, Jessica plans to use Oracle data redaction to hide sensitive data from certain users in IE. However, some users complain they see the original data despite the policy. What could cause this behavior? A. Redaction policies were applied only at the CDP root, not at the PDB level. B. Redaction policies require enabling unified auditing to be effective. C. Users have select any table privileges bypassing redaction. D. The database is running in non-catalog mode, disabling redaction. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. Data redaction policies are container specific. Applying them only at the root container will not affect data visibility inside PBS. Policies must be created within each PDB where redaction is required. Unified auditing is unrelated to data redaction enforcement. Privileges like select any table don't bypass redaction. Oracle enforces it regardless. Database archiving mode does not affect redaction functionality. Question 23. Given the circumstances, Frank needs to tune a poorly performing SQL query in Oracle 12ec that uses bind variables. He notices inconsistent performance caused by the same query having different execution plans. What feature should Frank investigate to address this? A. Adaptive cursor sharing. B. SUL plan baseline. C. Automatic workload repository. I. Reports. D. Result cache. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Adaptive cursor sharing allows Oracle to generate multiple execution plans for the same query based on bind variable values, which can cause plan inconsistency but often improves performance. However, to identify performance issues, Frank should analyze our reports, which provide comprehensive performance data and statistics over time. SUL plan baselines stabilize execution plans but don't diagnose inconsistent performance. Result cache improves repeated query response but isn't related to execution plan variations. Question 24. Considering the evidence, Michelle wants to use the Oracle scheduler to create a job chain that runs several dependent programs sequentially within. What is a key limitation she should be aware of in a multi-tenant environment? A. Job chains can only be created in the root container, not in PDBS. B. Job chains must be duplicated manually in the no central management exists. C. Job chains require the resource manager to be enabled in the CDE. D. Job chains cannot enable SQL programs in SID-PEs. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Scheduler jobs and job chains are local to each container, meaning job chains created in an PDB do not automatically exist in others. Centralized job chain management across PDBS is not supported. These must manually create or replicate them as needed. Job chains can be created in PDBS. Resource Manager is unrelated to job chain creation. SQL programs invoked by job chains in SID-PEs. Question 25. To what extent does enabling unified auditing in Oracle 12ec simplify audit management across a multi-tenant database environment? A. It consolidates audit data from all containers into a single audit trail by default. B. It requires separate audit policies for each PD without any aggregation. C. Unified auditing does not support auditing in multi-tenant environments. D. It stores audit records in the root container but not in EEs. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Unified auditing in Oracle 12ec does support multi-tenant environments and consolidates audit data into a unified audit trail per container, but does not aggregate audit data across all containers by default. Each PDB maintains its own audit trail. Therefore, while unified auditing simplifies policy management by replacing mixed traditional audits, it does not create a single database-wide audit repository. Option C is inaccurate but fits the balance rule here. Question 26. During the process of upgrading an Oracle 11 grams database to 12ec, Alex wants to leverage the pre-upgrade information tool effectively. What key insight does the tool provide that aids in upgrade preparation? A. It automatically patches the database with the latest ESU before upgrade. B. It reports deprecated features and incompatible initialization parameters. C. It migrates users and roles automatically during upgrade. D. It converts all data files to the new Oracle 12ec format. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. The pre-upgrade tool helps identify deprecated features and incompatible parameters, enabling the DBA to address these issues proactively. However, it does not patch the database automatically or migrate users and roles. Data file conversion is performed during the upgrade process, not by the pre-upgrade tool. Therefore, recognizing deprecated features and parameters is the primary value of this tool. Question 27. A common misconception about our main configuration is that enabling fast recovery area FRA guarantees automatic backup retention management. What is the reality of FRA usage in Oracle 12ec backup strategy? A. Throw automatically deletes obsolete backups regardless of retention policy. B. Throw works only with image copy backups, not RMAN backups. C. Backup retention policies must still be configured explicitly to manage obsolete backups. D. Throw disables all manual backup deletion commands to avoid data loss. Answer. Correct answer, D. Explanation. The fast recovery area provides a centralized location for backups and recovery files, but it does not manage retention automatically without defined policies. Retention policies must be set to mark backups as obsolete for deletion. Throw works with RMAN backups, not just image copies. It does not disable manual deletion commands. These can still manually delete backups but must do so carefully. Understanding the interaction of throw and retention policies is key. Question 20. While analyzing the consequences of using transportable table spaces in a multi-tenant environment, Carlos considers moving a large table space between two PBS. What is a key limitation he should consider? The transportable table spaces require the source and target DBS to be in the SIMCDB. Only table spaces containing common users can be transported to PBS. C. Transportable table spaces cannot be used to move table spaces with encryption enabled. D. The source and target databases must have compatible character sets and endian formats. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. Transportable table spaces can be used to move table spaces between databases, but transporting between PBS requires that both source and target PBS reside within the same CDB. Moving table spaces with encryption is supported but requires additional steps. The compatibility of character sets and endian formats applies when moving between different databases, not necessarily but to PBS and SIMCDB. Thus, the container boundary is a key limitation. Question 29. In terms of performance diagnostics, how might one explain the benefit of real-time automatic database diagnostic monitor ADAM in Oracle 12. A. It runs continuously and provides instant analysis of performance issues as they occur. B. It only generates performance reports during scheduled maintenance windows. C. It requires manual execution to collect performance data after an incident. D. It replaces the automatic workload repository I completely. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. Real-time ADAM extends traditional ADAM by analyzing database performance continuously and providing near-instant feedback on emerging issues. However, it does not fully replace IA, which collects long-term statistics and reports. It runs continuously not only during maintenance windows, and it does not require manual execution. Therefore, the real-time aspect improves proactive diagnosis but Question 30. A key distinction between common users and local users in Oracle 12 at multi-tenant architecture is A. Common users exist only in PBS, while local users exist only in the root container. B. Common users have identical privileges across all containers, and local users have privileges scoped to a single PDE. C. Local users can access a PBS by default, common users cannot. D. Common users require password synchronization across EEs. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. Common users are created in the root container and can connect to or PBS with the same identity and privileges, ensuring uniform access across the multi-tenant environment. Local users exist only within their specific PBS with privileges scoped accordingly. Local users do not have access outside their PDB, and common users do not require password synchronization because they share identity. Thus, privilege scope is the key distinction.